talk about Ripplr. That's a logistics startup, and Ripplr actually in the last month managed to raise around $40 million in a funding mainly led by Fireside Ventures. Now, my colleague Avan Dubash actually caught up with Santosh, the co-founder at Ripplr, to talk more about this and the company's prospects going forward. Let's go across to that conversation.
Time to focus in then on tech-driven distribution logistics startup that's based out of Bengaluru. That's Ripplr. The company has recently undertaken a fundraise. We talk a little bit more about their financials as well as what the company's growth plans are in a fairly competitive environment. Santosh Dabke, who's the co-founder at Ripplr, now joins us on the show. Santosh, thanks so much for taking time out. Clearly, the startup ecosystem has been hit hard. There's a capital crunch. We're talking about a funding winter. And at a time like this, just recently, we have seen the company managed to raise funds. Can you just walk us through the details of your latest fundraise?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me the show. And yes, as you rightly said, last year has been a very tough year for most of the startups because we saw the winter funding coming in very, very strongly. But fortunately for us, since our business model has been, a very, very strong and robust and operationally profitable, we have been able to attract the, amount of capital that we have raised. And that's the beauty of our business. The focus for us, as we move forward is being on profitable growth because, in the last 4 years, we have grown exponentially across all the locations in South. Now the opportunity for us is to look at consolidating our position as one of the largest B2B partners for all the major FMCG brands and expand our network in North and West. So that's the future opportunity we see ourselves. Also, supply chain management, where the government focus on the logistics sector is being very, very strong, and where there are a lot of global players who are ready to partner in India. I think that is also one space which we are trying to explore very, very strongly to look at the next phase of growth for us as a company.
So what will this fundraise then be utilized towards?
So there are 3-4 elements, on the fundraise. One of the most important thing is, we will be strengthening our tech platform because, tech is a very important tool in terms of scaling up. So today we are in 12 cities. The next opportunity, what we see is to strengthen our tech. So most of the funds will be utilized in terms of strengthening our tech, hiring new teams across the two zones, which is North and South, North and West. Because North and West contributes more than 60% of the Indian business, and we plan to expand our network across these two zones in the coming future. So the fund utilization predominantly will be in tech, strengthening our tech platform as well as expanding our network in North and West zone.
Okay, now Santosh, there are claims from the company that you guys have grown exponentially over the last 4 years, but let's really put that into numbers. As per what I have, the FY22 operating revenue is 275 crores compared to 47.8 crore rupees in FY21. Is that correct? And where do you see your revenue scaling?
Yes. So since the 2019, we started 4 years back in 2019. I think the growth has been really exponential. We recently closed our last financial year roughly with a number of 900 crores revenue, which is around 880. So that has been the scale up over previous year. We have grown 3x over last year and 6x over the previous year. So I think there has been a exponential journey as what we see because India is a very lucrative market when it comes to FMCG business, and the demand exceeds far than supply. So today the challenge is not about demand for us. The challenge is about how we can cope up to the supply. So the opportunity is huge, and in a market which is $100 billion as of now, likely to double in next by 2025. I think there will be a huge business opportunity which will come our way in terms of strengthening our supply chain capabilities at the back end. Also partnering with distributors and retailers to give them, the tech platform where we do a lot of predictive analysis, a lot of data analysis in terms of, solving the reach and discovery problem of, a lot of channel partners which we are working with.
No, so you closed FY22 at 900 crores or you're saying FY23?
FY23.
FY23 you closed at 900 crore rupees. Okay, but the company's losses, if I'm not mistaken, that's continuing to balloon close to 9 crores in FY22. What's the plan to lower your losses to turn profitable?
So if you look at the number, in terms of the growth, I think our growth far exceeds our losses. So that has been, the most focus for us. And like I said, the fifth year is, this year, this financial year of 23-24 is going to be very important year where, we are, planning to turn profitable, because, that is very important from a startup point of view, because, for us, valuation, is a vanity and profitability is a reality. So the focus for us in the fifth year is really to look at how fast we can become profitable. And that's the, opportunity which we see, because at an operational level, we are already profitable, but considering the kind of expansion which we have done in last 4 years and the kind of investments which have done in last year, I think that is where, the investment has gone through. But I think this year will be the year where, we will be looking at consolidating our position, and making, achieving towards the profitability of the overall company.
Okay, that should be the hope, because eventually now we're talking about the term profit con from unicorn, which is actually companies that have managed to hit profitability and sustain at those levels. So that's fairly critical. But Santosh, apart from that, walk us through the logistics services, who the big customers are that you currently cater to, and how you plan to expand your base of customers.
Absolutely. So like I said, about the logistics as a sector is one of the largest sectors for the Indian economy, or I can say it's a pillar of the Indian economy. So if you are talking about a 5 trillion economy, I think that's where the government vision is. Logistics will be the basic pillar in terms of how it grows, because every single company, every single sector requires logistics services. And with the kind of infrastructure which we have built across, all the cities which we are present in, I think, we stand to gain the most in terms of expanding our reach, So our focus in logistics will be across multiple segments. So we are targeting manufacturing, we are targeting pharma, we are targeting e-com sectors, we are targeting, your business lines. So there are a lot of, guys who require warehousing services, first mile, mid mile, last mile. So, we will be aggressively looking at strengthening our supply chain and logistics business as well, because that is also one of the growth levers which we, intend to push across in this year.
Okay, so currently you have a presence in Maharashtra, Delhi, Karnataka, as well as Tamil Nadu. How many warehouses are you managing, and how are you looking to scale up and expand your presence? Which are the other cities that you're targeting?
So currently, for the last 4 years, we have been able to strengthen our, network in South, because since we are Bangalore-based, we realized that, one of the core focus for us is how far we can, capture the South market. So out of the, business, our, a majority of our business comes from South. We expanded in West and North, in very small pockets of Pune, Bombay, and Delhi last year. And, that businesses have also been doing well. The next scope for us is strengthening or deepening our network in North, because North is one of the largest markets. In fact, Delhi is one of our focus areas, being the capital region. And that is where, Delhi itself, is again 10-12% of the overall business as a market. So Delhi will be one of our focus areas. We will be expanding to Punjab, some part of Rajasthan also. So these are the pockets in North which we will look at. Maharashtra obviously is a big opportunity. So we are currently present in Pune and Bombay. The next opportunity will be to look at, the next tier 2 cities of Nagpur, Nasik, Kolhapur, Sangli. So these are the pockets which we will expand in the coming 12 months.
And one can't deny that within this space, there are some very well-established players who are entrenched. How do you plan to cope up with the competition?
So honestly, if you ask me, the business, the distribution business and the logistics business is so big. Like I said, the distribution, FMCG distribution itself is $100 billion business. For us, we have hardly scratched the surface. So from a competition point of view, we are not too worried because everybody has got a space in this room, and you've been seeing that there are a lot of traditional businesses which have been doing very well in the last 2-3 decades. We are just trying to solve the problem, adopting by using technology in terms of making it more efficient both from the back end as well as the front end point of view. And about the most important part of it is the distribution business in India is a very, very complex business. Let me tell you one interesting thing. I have traveled across the globe. India happens to be one of the most complex distribution market in the world. Trust me, I was in Vietnam, I was in China, we were in Japan. So, in fact, we have one of our Japanese partners who have invested in us in this round as well as in the last round. The opportunity for us is if we are able to solve the distribution complexities in India, I think, it is a very, very large blue ocean which we can look forward for.
Okay, so we wish you all the very best then, and thanks so much for joining in.